Just getting set up. Thanks for holding.
Thanks, Clyde. Thanks. How's it going? This section is closed. That was an original. I apologize in advance. Just keep writing. Never take the pen off the page. Just keep writing. Even if you can't think of anything to write, just keep writing. Even if you just keep writing the phrase, just keep writing over and over again. Just keep writing. Let whatever is in your head just spill out onto the page. Wait a minute. Are you kidding? I mean, are you sure about this? Do you have any idea what is in there? Are you at all aware of the sick and twisted shit that is contained within the receptacle known as your mind? The depraved ideas that would make the thoughts in Charles Manson's head seem like a letter from the Pope? Do you really want those cerebral etchings from the psyche of a madman to be let loose? You could be unleashing forces that might very well change the world in horrible and irrevocable ways. You need to stop this. You need to put the depraved cork back in the bottle. You need to put the sick and twisted toothpaste back into the tube. You need to shut, lock, and board up the door to your mind. Go back to writing the kinds of glib nonsense that people will forget about 2 minutes after you've read it to them. Fear, inhibitions, short attention span, all the things that keep you psychologically constipated are there for a reason. Let others create true and lasting art by tapping into the deepest, darkest recesses of their minds, by plumbing the depths of their subconscious, by burrowing down until they find themselves face to face with the core of their very being. You need to just write your little jokes, make your superficial observations, do whatever it takes to keep the living, breathing, shaking, squirming, flexing, preening, pulsating, gyrating, pogoing, jitterbugging, jack-jumping, show-stopping evil within from ever seeing the light of day. Put down the pen. Put down the pen. Drop the pen. Drop the pen. Just stop writing.
Yeah, bravo. Come on, Danny. Yeah.
I seem to have spit all over the screen of my iPad.
Oh God, I love him.
Anyone who wants to steal my identity is welcome to it. It's never done me much good, so help yourself. Enjoy the calloused psyche and the fog-shrouded priorities and the emotional inconveniences. Enjoy my currency-sniffing fetish and my obsession with claustrophobia as a lifestyle choice. Enjoy my concern over the confusion of trees and how easily I'm intimidated by clouds. Enjoy the metabolism that is so slow it would lose a race to a turtle that has just ingested a large amount of Quaaludes. Enjoy my belief system, which includes the idea that intolerant people should be put against the wall and shot. Enjoy the unhealthy amount of time that I spend thinking about burritos I have known. And the fact that I still somehow manage to have bad hair days even though I no longer have hair. Enjoy the industrial strength envy I experience every day of semi-bearded, energy drink-addled, information overdosing, nickname bestowing, tech industry employment seeking, piercing laden, device obsessed, app happy, glibness spouting, tweet spewing, pseudo people whose lives are so much better than mine, who live in big houses with tennis courts and swimming pools and a heliport and a panic room and a war room and a time machine and a living mime. and diamond-studded toilet seats which hurt like hell when you sit on them but make a great status symbol. And enjoy my inability to shake the feeling that there is no afterlife and that we are all just finite, compostable, biological entities that one day, for one reason or another, just cease to function. But, although, on yet another hand, you can also enjoy the fondness that I have for winking at satellites, and for getting lost in the joy of an unexpected cartwheel, and for taking the time to stop and smell the weirdness, and for taking the time to thank a vagina for its service, and for the tiny kernel of hope I possess that there is indeed a place called heaven where the hours may be irregular, but the food is always excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Rock and roll is my fountain of youth. Rock and roll keeps me immature, and it's my immaturity that keeps me young. When I'm 80 years old, I'll still be blitzkrieg bopping to the Ramones' first album, possibly breaking a hip in the process. But then I'll be given morphine for the pain, which will call for the playing of Sister Morphine by the Stones. Hearing Roll Over Beethoven playing on a loop in my head, I will duck walk down the main corridor of whatever horribly run, state-sponsored nursing home I wind up in, possibly breaking a hip in the process. I'll be given drugs to calm me down and make me act more like a normal octogenarian, but they won't work because the drug known as rock and roll will still be coursing through my veins. I'll jump up and pogo out the door, possibly breaking a hip in the process. I will commandeer the facility sound system and blast Iggy and the Stooges, causing some residents to die immediately just from the visceral impact of the music, while others will perish attempting to dance to it. But dance we must, even if the end result is death. Rock and roll demands it.
Yeah, yeah.
Push, pull, weep, procrastinate, complain, sweat, breathe, consume, compensate, reconfigure, breathe, force, breathe, wallow, count, lecture, count, vibrate, talk, listen, talk, 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 breathe. Talk, 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 talk. Breathe. Regret. Aspire. Regret. Breathe. Confess. Count. Condemn. Count. Indict. Isolate. Criticize. Collapse. Claim. Redact. Obfuscate. Breathe. Reflect, berate, aspire, implode, crawl, explode, deny, admire, talk, listen, talk, 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 masticate, talk, 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 sniff, talk, 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 breathe, regret, escape, envy, vomit, retire, stare.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm listening to jazz right now. I mean, I'm talking to you, but I have no idea what I'm saying because I'm listening to jazz. I mean, I could be talking total nonsense to you right now, like, sentences with zip codes in place of the verbs, or the names of Academy Award winners spelled backwards, or the Bill of Rights with the phrase antimicrobial bathroom cleanser inserted after every few words. I have no idea what I'm saying because I'm listening to jazz. And don't even ask me who in particular I'm listening to, because I don't know. I have no idea. As far as I'm concerned, it's all one guy. Yeah, that's right. One guy has recorded all the jazz throughout history. I mean, he's a really old guy, of course, having recorded all the jazz and everything, and he must be really tired, having played all the instruments and done all the singing, and I'm sure that the big band era was really tough for him. But it all comes from him. A guy named Jazz. Arthur Jazz. Or Emmett Jazz, or Osgood Jazz. I'm not really sure what his first name is, but his last name is definitely Jazz. Yeah, that's who I'm talking to. A guy named Jazz, a cat named Jazz. Oh, and he's an eloquent orator, Mr. Jazz is, and I don't listen to anyone else. And you would be best to listen to him too. And you know why? Well, you know all that other music like funk and punk and grunge and electronica and rockabilly and salsa and reggae and polka and Irish folk and Delta blues and Chicago blues and overproduced mainstream country and western. Well, all that other music is done by a bunch of different people, sometimes 5 or 6 people at a time. But not jazz. You see, all jazz is done by one guy. Calvin Jazz. Or Leslie Jazz. Whatever the fuck his name is. All I know is that this Mr. Jazz person rocks.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jose Bravo! Keep going, man. Don't stop.
Go
We're
ahead,
digging it.
God bless you.
Keep going.
Oh, God, you're grand. You're all grand folks, you are. I'm a server in a seafood restaurant. I have a guest who tells me that he wants to order one of the non-seafood items on our menu, a steak. And he explains to me that the reason he's ordering a steak and not a seafood item is because he is deathly allergic to seafood, and therefore his steak must be prepared in such a way as to not come in contact with anything that has ever, at any time, also come in contact with seafood. It must be cooked on a surface in which no seafood has ever been cooked. None of the utensils used in the preparation of the steak must have ever been used to cook seafood. The plate on which the steak is being served must have never been used to serve seafood. That his allergy to seafood is so severe that if his steak comes in contact with anything that has ever, at any time in the history of the world, also come in contact with seafood, no matter how many times that thing has been washed, he could die. Now, have I mentioned that I'm a server? What used to be known as a waiter before political correctness demanded that the terms waiter and waitress be replaced by the non-gender specific term server, that I'm a server of food and not a medical professional, not a doctor or a nurse or even an EMT, that I am merely someone who serves food to people. And yet, despite my lowly station in life, this man feels that it is entirely appropriate for him to put his life into my hands, to place on my shoulders the burden of keeping him alive, to put me in the position of being the only thing standing between him and almost certain death by seafood. In a seafood restaurant! Maybe, I think, he doesn't realize that he's in a seafood restaurant. Maybe the fact that almost every item on the menu is some sort of seafood doesn't make it apparent enough to him that he is, in fact, sitting in a seafood restaurant. Maybe the decor, which includes life preservers, life jackets, fishing nets, and even fish mounted on the wall, as well as paintings of fishermen at sea actually fishing, along with fish tanks and lobster tanks and an oyster bar and a sushi bar. Maybe none of these things is enough to alert this man to the fact that he is, in fact, in a seafood restaurant. The one place that a person like him, someone afflicted with an allergy to seafood so severe that even taking a photograph of him with a camera that has a fish eye lens on it could kill him, should never go into. I mean, does he have some sort of death wish? What if he does? What if he knows very well that he's in a seafood restaurant and he's given me this impossible mission because he wants me to fail at it? If so, what the fuck? Why drag me into this? I mean, if you want to kill yourself, take an overdose of sleeping pills or jump off the Golden Gate Bridge like a normal person. Don't hatch an elaborate plot that hinges on the failure of some poor, pathetic food server to carry out an unrealizable task. Waiting tables are stressful enough without a body count to contend with. Finally, I have to ask, excuse me, sir, but if you're so dangerously allergic to seafood, why would you even risk walking into a seafood restaurant, let alone ordering food in one? He points at the two people sitting at the table with him. My friends wanted seafood. Well, may I suggest that if these people were really your friends, they wouldn't have wanted you to risk your life just because they're in the mood for crab cakes? You'd think that if they were really your friends, they would be willing to forego seafood for one night so that you would have a fighting chance of living through the meal. I don't actually say this, I just think it. What I actually say is, there's no way that I can guarantee your safety, sir. It's then that he asks to speak to the manager, who thankfully assigns the table to another server because he feels that my relationship with this particular guest has been poisoned by my excessive concern for his well-being. With as much condescension as he can muster, the manager suggests to me that maybe food server isn't the right profession for me, since I obviously can't handle the pressures that come with the job. I suggest to him that maybe someone who works for tips shouldn't be expected to have to safeguard someone else's existence. The next day, I applied for a job with the post office. Because the post office provides a valuable service, has room for advancement, is the largest employer of union workers in the country, and as far as I know, no one is allergic to the mail. Just so you know, this next thing I'm going to read, I wrote, is about something that happened 30 years ago, so don't panic. The man getting chemotherapy on the next journey over turned to me and said, "Really makes you think, doesn't it?" What? "Cancer really makes you put everything into perspective, doesn't it? Really makes you realize what's important, doesn't it?" Yeah, I suppose. Really gives you a pause, doesn't it? Really makes you realize how short life is, doesn't it? Really makes you just want to stop and smell the roses, doesn't it? Yeah, I guess. Is there any chance you could wander off and find a fucking rose to smell? Really makes you just want to tell everyone close to you how much they mean to you, doesn't it? Really makes you question the whole meaning of your existence, doesn't it? Really makes you appreciate the laughter of a child, doesn't it? Really makes you hope you can see just one more sunset, doesn't it? Really makes you thankful for the simplest of pleasures, the smell of freshly baked bread, the sound of a bird's plaintive song, the sight of a black Labrador retriever catching a frisbee in her mouth. Oh my God! Will you shut the fuck up? Now, you'd think that being a cancer patient myself, I could get away with telling another cancer patient to shut the fuck up, but apparently not, because this guy complained to a nurse, and then she called over the bouncer. "Excuse me, is there a problem here? I hear you're not putting everything into perspective, not appreciating the laughter of a child, not hoping to see just one more sunset. All right, that's it, you're out of here. Move aside, come through." Because apparently, when you get cancer, you're expected to indulge in gratuitous sentimentality. And if you don't, people start to get nervous and become confused and ask questions like, "Why isn't he using his defense mechanisms?" And the same can be said of the euphemisms that people use for death, like, "He passed." What do you mean he passed? like through an intestine? Was he eaten? Or we lost him. Oh, well, I'm sure he's around here somewhere. I mean, how hard could he be to find? He's a corpse. Just follow the smell. What you mean is that he died. He croaked. He's worm food. So why don't you just say that? I mean, should I begrudge people the euphemisms that they use and the lies that they tell themselves and the gratuitous sentimentality in which they indulge in order to make things like cancer and death easier to deal with? Personally, I reject all that. I think it just trivializes it. And there's nothing trivial about cancer. Trust me, I know. Still here. 34 years later. Still here, God! Sorry about that. Am I going home?
Yeah, you got time, man.
Very cool. Okay. Thanks. This was also written a long time ago, and back when I had hair. So please try to picture me with long, flowing.